This thing start back up. Let's see if this thing started back up. Are we good? Let's see. I'm waiting here to see if this started back up here. If it started on the same spot or not. I'm gonna hit refresh over here. See if it's going. Seems like it's going. It's still frozen. So I guess we got to start a new stream. Gonna start a new stream here, so I'm gonna tell everybody. Bum, things are going crazy. This is how the sausage is made. Now let me go back to my channel and find a link so I can give it to you guys. There we go. Let's see if it shows up. There. Okay. Here we go. Okay, now we're going. And all the stream is added. I'm gonna have to splice these things together or something afterwards. That was a trip. Yeah. Something's going on with this setup. We've had a couple of power outages, and I think it's screwing up my system a little bit. But I don't know if it's the hub that I'm using or what. But I think during the last stream, I said, "Oh, my monitor just went out," because the monitor just went pew on me, and then shortly after that, the whole system kicked. I don't know if I blew something or what, but I'm back. So, what were you guys talking about while I was gone? That's funny. I don't know what you guys were talking about while I was gone. I'm not sure if I've got everything set up here, because I had to start I had to reboot the whole machine. So let's see. Let me get my slides together too, so I can talk about stuff. All right, there's my slides. Cool. So let me just kind of backtrack through some of the conversation here, and we're back. I'm assuming the flat Earth guy was still just being a douche. This audio's still good. Okay, cool. All right. Let's see. More specific stand-on argument. Oh yeah. So there was you guys. Someone brought up what's your position on the AR-15 argument, and I didn't know what was meant by the AR-15 argument, and then everything kicked out. So let's see what was discussed on there. The AR-15 argument. More specific with my question, I'll ask in more detail. Where do we stand on the argument the AR-15 is a weapon of war? It needs to be removed from public's hand. Well, I don't know whether or not it's a weapon of war. I don't go into those kind of definitions. I don't think that the founding fathers were thinking about high caliber, large magazine type of weapons when they were talking about people being able to bear arms, and they weren't picturing the type of standing army that we would currently have. So the concept of people needing to be a well-regulated militia, I think, is kind of a archaic concept. I believe people should be able to own a weapon, but there should be limitations. There should be limitations on the type of weapon they can have, and possibly the type of ammunition they can have. And so then it's about, where do we draw the line? I think everyone believes. Like I said, I'm not going into definition of assault rifle and all that kind of stuff. I don't care about that. If you want to piss somebody off, say AR means assault rifle, and it will drive them crazy, but it doesn't. So limits need to be made on things. I think we all believe Some people say they'll say they don't, but everyone agrees that there should be some line drawn in terms of what type of weapon and what type of arms the average citizen should be able to have, right? So for me, it's not a question of it's not a question of boo. It's not a question of whether or not you have the right. It's like whether or not you believe in gun control. Because I'm of the mind that everyone believes in gun control. Some of you are gonna flinch at that. We just don't agree on where that line is. I don't like the fact that people say, I can't stand people who believe in gun control. I don't believe in gun control. Most likely you do. You just don't like the phrase gun control. But it's just about arguing about where the line is. Should people be able to have a handgun? Sure. Should people be able to have a large caliber handgun with a certain number of clips? Some people will say sure. Should person be able to have a shotgun? Some people say sure. And you just keep kind of going, and you ask what type of weapon should they be able to have? And at some point they're going to be like, nah, they shouldn't have that. And then you talk about the person. You say, should a grown man be able to have this type of gun? Yes. Okay. Should a 17-year-old boy be able to have that type of gun? Maybe. Should a 16-year-old girl be able to have it? Should a 12? Should a 10? Should a person that is mentally unstable? You can find all these different things, and at some point, you're going to say, okay, that person shouldn't have it. So the thing is, we all believe in gun control. We just argue over where the line is drawn. Okay. So personally, I don't see any need for the average citizen to have an AR-15. I don't see the need. But I also don't believe in rounding up what people have. I don't think these things should have been manufactured and set out to the public. If the military makes a weapon for whatever purpose, right? They make a weapon. Say it's a laser. They make a laser gun. All right. Okay, fine. They make a laser gun. Laser guns should be then manufactured and sold amongst, and given to military, and this and that should be military contracts and stuff. But that does not mean that now that weapon exists, it needs to be now sold to the general public. I think that it's not true that once a weapon exists, it now needs to be sold to the general public. It's just a matter of what that weapon is and where the line is. So, yeah. See, balloons, see, so there's someone still doing a whole sea cables. Let's see, what do we got here? Yes, you can't have a nuke. Let's see, balloons, sea cables. Yeah, you have some strict laws over there in Australia. And, hey, every country gets to have their own laws. I'm all for that. Gun control is using two hands. Okay. All right. I don't know what red dots is. People should be able to have a nuke. Okay, whatever. David, thanks for your input on people being able to have a nuke. Sataloon. Oh, you guys talking about whether or not GPS actually works? Yeah, it's funny. It's funny how flat earthers first said GPS didn't work over the ocean. And then it was proven that GPS did work over the ocean. So they said satellites don't exist. GPS doesn't use satellites. It's all land-based. That's why, this is what they said. They said it's all land-based. That's why when you go for transit, across the ocean, you only have GPS to a certain distance, and then it stops happening because you get out of range of the land towers. That's what they said. Except for that wasn't true. So once it was proven enough that wasn't true, they had to change it. They said, well, there are buoys. At one point they were saying there are buoys out in the ocean that are relaying it. Oh, really? That's what you came up with? And then some people say balloons, and now they're saying cable. But you notice it's them moving the goalpost because they originally said satellites don't exist, and the proof of that is that GPS doesn't work over the oceans. But the fact is, it did work over the oceans. And so then they had to come up with a new excuse. They came up with an ad hoc excuse for it. They just made one up. So I'm sorry, you don't get to use those. You change the rule. That's all. So, and since when, and given the distance on those things and the height, and yeah, sorry. Fathers they just really suck at what they do. Unless they're trying to be stupid, and then they're really good at it. Let's see. Let's go lightsabers. Okay, so other topics that I had prepared to talk about. Let's see. I'm gonna move over. Let's see if my other display is working. It may not be. Let's see. No, it's not. My source isn't working, so let me get myself a source real quick. Let's see. Where's my source? Boom. There we go. All right. So now I have some slides. So, well, first off, one thing I hadn't had a chance to talk about was, and even though it happened last week, it just never came up on the last one, is I don't know about you, but I was pretty shocked by the death of Chadwick Boseman. What do we got here? I was pretty shocked by it. I mean, not shocked in the sense of like, you know, it's how dare it, but you know, it was sudden. I was not expecting it. And I was affected by just the story of what happened. I think the story of what happened is pretty rare in Hollywood. Hollywood people are usually they're not as deep as they would like you to think they are. You know, a lot of people, you know, they put themselves out there as big thinkers or kind of, you know, really humanitarians, whatever. And they're not necessarily more so than anybody else. They're just people. That's just what they are. But it's obvious that Chadwick Boseman knew his clock was ticking. He knew his clock was ticking, and so he was trying to get a lot done in a short period of time. And he got a lot done in a short period of time. I mean, from going for, and it was funny. It was one of those things that you kind of joked about. It's like, man, you're doing Jackie Robinson and James Brown and Thurgood Marshall and T'Challa. It's like, dude, why are you taking like just like iconic people? It's like, what is with since when do you get to just take all these iconic roles? And like I said, I think he knew that he didn't have a lot of time, and so he was just trying to make as big an effect as he could, and he did. I mean, he took some serious roles and affected a lot of people. And the fact that he was able to, I mean, credit to his family, credit to his entourage, you know, his people. Usually somebody's trying to make money off of somebody. You know, somebody is spilling the beans on their headliner in order to get that little grift under the table. And the fact that he had an entourage, he had a group of people of his like assistants and team members, and then his family that just, you know, had his back the whole time and kept his secret, says a lot about a person. Says a lot about a person that he had people that supported him the way they did. So, yeah. And the fact that, you know, I was really actually quite annoyed that so quickly people were wondering what was going to happen with the franchise, and just who cares about the franchise? You know, it's just people are, people are amazingly selfish, especially when you're dealing with a story of someone who was actually not being particularly selfish. He was being actually particularly giving in his life. For people to immediately say, but hey, what about that thing that I wanted? How are they going to give me the thing I wanted? Within minutes of this gentleman's death was astounding. It's just like, sometimes I hate fans. Sometimes fans don't deserve what they get a lot of times. Well, I'm going to take a drink here. So what do we got here? It's actually, Iron Rain says it's actually hard to be good at being stupid. Most people that are good at stupid are just plain stupid. Fact. It's funny is, I think I've mentioned this before, that I recently kind of reread. Well, this case I listened to the audiobook of 1984. It's one that I visit pretty much every year, especially since the Trump administration. But one thing that's really interesting about in 1984 is how they talk about how you really have to work hard at being stupid in the party for Ingsoc. It's equally your job to be. It's equally as difficult to be stupid as it is to be intelligent, and you have to be able to be both at the same time. So I thought that was so the fact you're saying it's hard to be good at being stupid reminds me of that, because people have to work really hard in the novel of 1984 to stay stupid. They have to work at it. It's amazing. The video feed is not showing the chat, huh? Are you on the right? Let's see. Restore chat. All right, see if that's, is that doing any better? See if that does any better. Might have clicked the wrong button here. So what's going on anyway? Denzel Washington is wise to the media. I don't know what that means. I thought it was very interesting, the connection between Denzel Washington and Chadwick Boseman, how Denzel Washington is paid for his education through a sponsorship, and that's kind of cool. If I can make a superhero team from any and all lore comics, would pick limit 7 characters. Interesting. I have to think on that. I'm not in the brain space for that right now, but that's an interesting question. Can your government infringe upon your right to go above the speed limit? Yes. Let's see. Jesse says, can I tell you something to make you feel better? I don't know. Let's see. Something to make you feel better. I have to think on that too. It's really hard for me to think of something, because I'm not in the best of space. Sorry. Big Brother's watching you. Yes. Let's see. He spoke about the news misinforming. Yes. Did Denzel say anything that was particularly pointed? Because everyone talks about the news misinforming. Yeah. So, I mean, all of the news is filtered. That's all news, no matter where you get it from. People say, I go through non-mainstream news and I get the unfiltered. No, you don't. No one gets unfiltered news unless you're actually right there. And then when you tell someone else, you filtered the news. So no one gets unfiltered news. Even if we may even filter it ourselves, and who we decide is unfiltered. when we say I like them because they're not slanted. It's like, well, you've just picked them. You've filtered them yourself. Um, but so all news comes from a point of view. You just what you have to do is kind of it's like movie critics where you don't necessarily you learn about where the movie critic is coming from. You learn their point of view, and so then when you hear what they say, you listen to what they say, but you can also filter it knowing where their mindset is. There's the fact. You can then filter out the fact versus the impression, and then you make a decision on your own. But no news is, all news is filtered information. Let's see. Maybe it should be, but isn't. Let's see. Something about it being infringed. Someone probably wrote something. Okay, here we go. I mean, it should be, but it isn't. Right? Not right. It's your right to own a military-grade weapon. Shot. Yeah. But also, you're going into whole not be infringed thing. Obviously, that's not true. Everyone, all laws, all courts have said that there can be certain limits put on the purchase of firearms. The very fact that you can limit it to an adult right off the bat means there's an infringement happening. The fact that you can't take these things and move them across state lines, things like that. That's so we have laws on these things. If the Second Amendment was wholly true the way people like to claim it is, then there could never be any limit on any type of weapon for anybody, ever. And that's just not true. That's just not the reality of it. Let's see. He said, those who watch are misinformed and those who don't are uninformed. And that is what we call trite. It's not real. It's a nice little phrase. It's got a nice rhythm to it. But it doesn't say anything, really. It's just, it's a little too trite. It's not deep enough. But, it sounds cool. But, it's not really that helpful. It's a good starting point, though. How do we find the truth in news stories? Well, first, it's a good question. You have to figure out how to discern the fact, like the what happened, the when it happened, who did it, that kind of stuff, from the why, and the to what end, and the what it means part, because it's the why and the what it means part that is up for interpretation. The president went out and spoke. He said these words at this time in front of these people. That's what happened. Why he said it? Truly only he knows, unless he told someone. So now we're starting getting into interpretation, right? So what your impression of him and what you know of him tells you, can inform you as to why you believe he said it. His history, I'm not just the president, but anybody, what he's done in the past and what the effect was of it and what happened because of it can inform you of these things. But all that's all interpretation. But our news isn't just like that little teletype machine that just says president made speech, talked about the jobs numbers, and talked about trade. It's not what happens. So everything comes through. We get more information than we ever had before, and we have to filter it through our own understanding. It's the way it is. And in the past, you can say, well, the news was more trustworthy, but it was still someone telling you what things meant, and they had sponsors too, and all the news has sponsors, and they filter things that they think their sponsors won't like. So it's yeah, it's a very interesting question, and it's not an easy thing. Sometimes I'll be watching the news and I'll just be like, oh, dude, shut up. Just don't give so much of the prelude before you talk about the story. Even if it's a guy who I agree with, I'll still be like, stop it with the prelude. You don't have to give the whole lead in. Just say what happened. Get to it. Yeah. But it happens everywhere on all sides of the, of a subject. So you will never find the truth in news if you only watch one source of media. Each side has their own biases and profit from slanting things that direction. People look for confirmational bias. Yes, that's true. We get more information than ever before. We get more disinformation than ever before. But the thing is, we get more news than ever before. It's kind of like saying there are more, there are more jobs than ever before. There are more people than ever before. There's more misinformation than ever before. There is more news than ever before. It's like when I was a kid, there was no such thing as 24-hour news. There was, 3 channels, 4 channels if you count PBS, and that was it. And then CNN came in doing 24-hour news. I think the superstations started doing 24, started having, and then C-SPAN, you started having these things. Now we have, dozens of 24-hour news. Yeah, it's 24 hours nothing but business news, 24 hours nothing but sports news, 24 hours of nothing but this. So we have more information, more news than ever before, and thus we have more misinformation. Everything gets elevated to the point of being news because they have to fill space. Not everything is news. Not everything is worthy of being talked about. But you have to fill time. It's 24 hours. And you have 8 competitors. You got to fill time. And so, stations are in the business of making money and getting eyes on the screen. So you got to talk about stuff, even if it's not important. You got to talk about it as if it is. So that's crazy. There's a lot of op-eds. You are absolutely right. I don't watch ABC, so I don't. Not for any particular reason. I just don't watch it, and so I don't know if it's any good or not. The Fairness Doctrine. I haven't thought about the Fairness Doctrine in a long time. I can't remember whether or not it was actually effective. So I have to think on it because I hadn't thought about it in a long time. But all I know is it's going to be crazy. This election cycle is going to be unlike any we've ever seen. I mean, they're always dirty. We've had dirty elections. We've had weird slanted elections. We've had smeared, mudslinging elections. This one's going to be crazy. There's so much money involved. I mean, you heard, I can't remember, was it $400 million or something that Biden raised last month? What? It's a crazy amount of money to raise in a month. And Trump's been raising almost that much, on a regular basis. So it's going to be, the spending spree is going to be crazy. So I'm curious how the news stations are going to react to that. If they're going to put any limits on it, or what, just in order to not make it so much madness, because there's going to be so much and disinformation going out. It's going to be crazy. It's all about that money. Yes, you're right, Sunraiser. It's all about the money. Let's see. I'm angry because I feel I have to vote for the Great Pumpkin based on the things that he and KH are saying. I don't know what that means. I mean, in terms of, I don't know what Biden and Kamala are saying that would make anyone that wasn't already going to vote for Trump vote for Trump. I don't see very many people. I don't understand people who are on the fence right now, on either side. I mean, just the act of being on the fence. It's like you're on the fence. That you can't have. I don't think there's been. Well, there was more difference last time as well, but there's so much difference between these two candidates. I don't understand the on the fence part. I don't. Yeah. Yeah, so, okay, anyway, I got this Chadwick Boseman thing up here. Let's see, what was the next one I had on list? Oh, I'm going to skip this next one. There's just this, here, real quick. This is really, really tacky video that someone put up on TikTok. You're not going to be able to hear the sound on it. It's like, I think it's a Boys to Men or something like that, right? So it goes, I'll play it. Let's see here. So yeah, that was that was like the I just grabbed it because it was like the tackiest shit I had seen in a long time. I mean, come on, you have T'Challa meeting Stanley at the pearly gates, and they're doing the Wakandan salute to each other, and it's uh so bad. I don't know why whoever did this, why they put it online. Did someone ask me which way I was leaning? Did David Atkinson, did you actually ask which way I was leaning? I've done nothing but talk about how Trump is a terrible human being. Um, there's no way in hell that I would vote for that man. I no, I no, nothing. I am gladly, I am going to vote early for Biden because Trump has to go. Because Trump is amazingly dangerous, and his, in my mind, and the culture he has brought to the Republican Party is incredibly dangerous. Um, so it's the most 1984-ish type culture that I've ever seen. Uh, People talked about about Obama being like worshipped, and it's like, oh, everyone think he was such a rock star, and he says people just fawned all over him and loved him, this and that. That is nothing. Obama was popular, he was, but it was nothing compared to the type of popularity that Trump has. I think Obama was more popular overall, like more people had a positive attitude toward him. But those who have a positive attitude mindset toward Trump are so over the top compared to like the biggest Obama fan. And you could have your biggest Obama fan who was, wearing all Obama clothes and a hat and whatever and going around, praising Jesus. You can picture the person. They're nothing compared to the people painting their trucks, flying their flags, standing out, and painting their breasts and tattooing them. So they're nothing. The cult-like atmosphere around him is nothing. It's nothing like anything seen before. Nothing seen like that before. And the culture of corruption that he has brought to D.C. and to the Republican Party is corrosive. I think he's been really bad for the Republican Party, and I don't think that's a good thing. I'm not a Republican. Doesn't mean I want to see bad things happen to the Republican Party. I think when the Republican Party is weakened, we're all weakened. So I think he's been really bad for that. I do not trust him to not change fundamentally for his own benefit. I don't. When a person jokes about something once, you say, okay, it's a joke. But when they keep going back to the same joke over and over again, it tells you something about the way they think. And the fact that he keeps going back to things like, I'm going to go for another 4 years after this. Maybe I'll get 4 more years. Maybe I'll get 12. The fact that he keeps going back to that, even when people say, oh, it's just a joke, the fact that his mind keeps going back to that tells me, in my experience, that tells me something about him. And it's not a good thing. Okay, I'm sure you do, but I'm going by what I see. I know you might see things the other way around, but yeah, there's, for example, and this is why I say it's so 1984-ish. Let's see if I can find it in my, let's see, that's Candace Owens. Just for example, in terms of, here's an example of somebody who says they believe, it's a Donald Trump supporter camped out at McNary. He honestly believes that Donald Trump was sent by God. That's what he says. And there are a lot of people who actually are this way. It's a mentality that I've never seen before. And so I just saw this one here. I thought that was a funny counter to that. But this is an example of the, let me see if I can find it here. Okay, so it's big news in the last, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. So this article in The Atlantic comes out where the person did interviews, Jeffrey Goldberg, interviews with different people, 4 people from the former administration people. This talked about how Trump is disparaging those who died in the war as losers and suckers, how he expressed not understanding why people would sign up for the military when they're not getting anything out of it, showed disdain for wounded veterans because no one wants to see that kind of thing, not wanting to go to memorials because he didn't want to have to go to more than one of them, and he didn't understand why these people were always lionized as heroes. And let's see. So you're saying, so the funny thing is, you're saying Tim Pool debunked this already. But here's the thing. So Trump comes out, and this is why I'm leading up to this. Trump comes out and he says, I never said anything bad, right? This comes out 3 tweets. Never big fan of John McCain. Never called him a loser. Never did anything but call fallen soldiers anything but heroes, right? I don't care what Tim Pool had to say. Tim Pool can toss. He's not a source. So anyway, let me finish what I'm saying, Stuart, and then you can tell me what you think of this. So then Trump comes out and he says, this didn't happen. I never called John McCain a loser. I have never said anything but positive things about wounded and captured soldiers. Nothing but heroes. This is a easily debunked statement. This is known to be false. This is easily proven false. The fact that Trump says right here, he says he never called John McCain a loser. He did. You can watch it on video where he says that John McCain's a loser. He says, I supported his campaign, and then I didn't so much because he lost, and I don't like losers. That's calling him a loser. That's calling him a loser. The words in his mouth, he lost, and I don't like losers. That's him calling him a loser. So right here, when he says, I never called him a loser, that's a lie. And then he says he's never called him anything other than heroes, except for in that very same interview when he talks about John McCain. And he says, is he a hero? Is he? You call him a hero because he was captured. I guess he's a hero. And then he says, I prefer people who aren't captured. That's what he says. Now that is an absolute counter to what he says is right here. That's what he said. He says he's never said anything. It's the basic statement of, who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? Because we all saw him say it. It's right there. It's just there. You can watch him say it, but he will tell you he didn't say it. And this is the type of kind of 1984-ish type of attitude that I'm talking about. It's the rewriting of history. It's the, we were never at war with, we are at war with Eurasia. We have never been at war with East Asia. It's that type of thing. It's completely crossing. I happen to have liked McCain. I didn't want him as president, but I happen to like McCain, except for when he kept bowing to the religious right, which I thought was pandering to him. I was really disappointed in him. I had a lot of respect for John McCain. You can have respect for somebody and not agree with them. That's the whole point. It's like, just because I didn't vote for him didn't mean I didn't have respect for him. I would not have died. I don't think the country would have crashed and burned if John McCain became president. It's not one of those things. So, but the point is, it's not about John McCain. It's about Trump denying reality. And the reason, and he went out and, he did 3 quick tweets on this thing because he knows it's true. And he knows it's negative, so he has to just completely deny it. It's very much like flat earthers when they know something's absolutely true and it doesn't work for them. They just say it doesn't exist. What's up, Plot Hole? Nice to see you. So this is the type of mentality. Now, you say that it's not true, but even if you go to, say, Fox, this is Fox national security correspondent on Fox confirming speaking with her contacts that said the same thing, that verified all these things were true. So this is Fox with their national security correspondent corroborating what was said in the Atlantic article. So you can say that it was just the Atlantic being skewed. Well, is Fox now skewed? Is Fox now part of the deep state? I think Trump probably thinks they are. But their own national security correspondent went out and confirmed it. I have the video here. I don't feel like playing it, but you can find it. You can look at the headline there, and you'll be able to get it. So when you say it's been debunked, well, you got some work to do. And it fits exactly with what we know about him. And everyone around him, this kind of confirms just everything people have said about him. So, yeah, it's amazing. So this is the type of mentality, this rewriting of history type of thing. When he just says, I never said that. And people will just believe it. And people around him will just believe it, or will just repeat it, even though they know it's not true. That is not a healthy thing to have in our government. It's just not. Sorry. There's no way in hell I'll ever support. For example, here's another one. I think I have another one here. This here. This is Trump saying, bum, 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 bum. If you told a Republican to vote twice, they get sick, even a thought of it. And so there's video of him once saying that. While just, was it 4 days ago, he actually was in North Carolina and suggested people vote twice. It's like, well, they say that voter fraud can't happen. Well, let's test it. Try to do some voter fraud. He suggested to people in North Carolina that they try to vote fraudulently. And he said, well, and if it works, you won't be able to vote. But then if it doesn't work, then you'll get to vote. So he's telling his people to vote for him twice. And then if they don't get cut, guess what? He gets twice as many votes. But he will tell you that, and you know, what's her name? McEnany was just like, no, he wasn't telling them to vote fraudulently. Yeah, he was. He literally said it. They should try that. That's what they should do, was his words. Dun, 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 dun. So, yeah, this is the mentality of this person that I think is particularly dangerous. Yeah, it's not like, you know, he's a Republican, I don't like him. It's like, for example, if Mitt Romney had become president, I probably wouldn't have liked some of the things he did, but I don't think the country would have fallen apart because of it. Much like John McCain. I may not have agreed on some of his more aggressive stances on certain things, but I don't think the country would have fallen apart because of it. Trump is a different beast than the rest. And it's I mean, one thing he was very much his word. Washington has not changed him. He has changed Washington, but he has changed it for the worse. I truly believe he has changed it for the worse. I think that mentality that he has, that narcissistic, protect himself mentality, and I think we have, for the first time that I know of, we have a president who's running for re-election to keep himself from getting indicted. Makes him particularly dangerous. That's my opinion on him. So, can't remember who asked. Was it David? So the country does not fall apart when the left is in charge. David, where are you getting the things you say and ask? I don't understand where anything I said why it would lead to that question. Because you're not listening to what I say. And that's the thing. You're not listening to what I say. You have a goal in mind, so you're just pushing the conversation that way. The country could fall apart with a leftist in charge. It could fall apart with a right-winger in charge. It depends on who the person is. But right now, up until today, the country hasn't fallen apart with either a leftist or a right-winger in office. This is the only one where I've ever felt. Like I said, I've been around for a while. The first president that I noticed was Jimmy Carter. I just noticed because I was young. I noticed Ford because they made fun of him on Saturday Night Live. I noticed Carter. I started to pay attention during Reagan. So since Reagan and Bush and Clinton and Bush and Obama and here, none of them, being on different sides, have made me think that the country is going to go to shit. I thought things would happen that I didn't like, but I didn't think, oh crap, what the hell's going to happen? Are we going to lose? Are we not going to have an election next time with this one? I've never had thoughts like that. Never had. None. This guy's different. So I don't know where you're getting this whole, things don't fall apart under leftists. No, they don't. And until now, they weren't falling apart under Republicans either. The country did not just fall apart. Let's see. You remember Johnson? All right. You cannot seriously think the Dems are on the left. Well, the Dems are a spectrum, much more of a spectrum. They go from center right to left. The Republicans go from right, center right to right. So Antifa has been destroying cities when Obama's when Obama's office. Antifa was destroying cities when Obama was in office? Really? Antifa was destroying cities. What cities were destroyed? Please, give me a map of the cities that were destroyed by Antifa under Obama. Please. Is this have to do with like the fact that Trump said that, was it Portland has been burning for decades? He literally said that Portland's been burning for decades. I don't know where he got that from. I was in Portland like 9 months ago. No, a year ago. Wasn't burning. I don't know where this whole thing is. What's up, Slick? Nice to see you. That took me to Nixon Airport hangar. It's probably be considered communist. Not quite communist, but it was like very different than Nixon was very different than the Republicans are today. Still corrupt as hell, but he was very different politically. Racist as hell too. So he wasn't that different because he really did push the Southern strategy. So they rioted many times and said, oh, well, rioting isn't destroying a town, a city. You said cities were destroyed by Antifa under Obama. They rioted many times in Seattle and Portland. Yeah. Yeah. And there were riots, in Oakland under Bush. There were riots in many cities under the previous Bush and under Clinton. Yes, but Antifa did not destroy cities. What? Why the hyperbole? You can say they did bad things without being so hyperbolic about it. It's crazy. But hey, if the signaling, the fear signaling is working for you, hey, he's doing what he's supposed to do, which is I'm gonna switch this. Make you afraid by talking about fearful stuff. That's what he's got to do to get elected. It's going to be an incredibly fear-based election. There's been fear-based elections before. But nothing like this. Nothing like this. Even after 9/11, the next election wasn't that fear-based because Bush was already like, hey, I'm taking charge of this. You see I'm doing well. You don't want to change. You don't want to change in the middle of the boat in the middle of the stream. You don't. We're doing fine. We'll smear Kerry. Boring Kerry. We'll smear Kerry, but we're not going to just say, there's already real fear in the world. We don't have to pump it up anymore. We've already done that. Just naturally, it's a scary world. They didn't do that. But this isn't even your standard, like, they're coming from the outside to get you fear. This is be afraid of your fellow citizens' fear. This is the Democrats are going to let gangs come live next door to you. Gangs which are American citizens. In other words, the Democrats are going to let American citizens you don't like come near you. That's what they're saying. Picture what you don't like about American citizens. Picture the group that you don't like. They're going to be living next door to you. Apartments, multi-dwelling apartments are going to be in your neighborhood. Low-income housing is going to be in your neighborhood. Do you want that to happen? Do Do you want to live in a neighborhood where the poors live? Is that where you want to live? That's what they're saying. They're not saying, hey, look, there's a big threat out there. There's terrorism. The world is on the brink of war, and the Democrats don't have the strength to fight it and protect it. They don't have the mindset. They don't have the intestinal fortitude, and they're going to get walked all over, and we're going to get invaded, or there's going to be more bombings, overseas. We're going to end in more war. No, he's not saying that. He's saying, look around you. There are people around you who are going to attack you, and you will be alone because Biden will not protect you. Those people you don't like, they're going to call you racist, and you're not racist. Biden's going to let them call you racist, but I won't let them call you racist because you're like me, and I'm not racist either. That's what they're saying. It's a very anti-fellow American platform. So it's going to be dirty. It's going to be dirty. I mean, last time, right before the midterms, there was a caravan of like MS-13, or there was a caravan of immigrants heading toward the border, and they're going to come, and if you can't let the Democrats take back the House and the Senate because this caravan is coming, that miraculously took a left turn just before the election. So what's going to be coming this time? What's going to be coming this time? And you have Kellyanne Conway, who's going to be leaving the administration, saying on the record that more violence is good for them. They want more violence. It's good for them. Come on. Someone's telling Stewart to stop it. I don't have time. You lived in a beehive apartment? Do I have Stewart's asking if I have low-income housing near me. I have low-income people. I don't know if the apartments that are nearby are low-income, but they're multi-house dwelling. I live on the border of a very incredibly affluent neighborhood. 94610, Piedmont area code. I share it. I'm in Oakland, but that neighborhood is seriously affluent. I'm just on the edge of that there, but I have neighbors, renters, and there are multi-housing dwellings just down the street, around the corner. And there are people in my neighborhood who I know are not particularly high income. That's okay. I've been there. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. But the thing is, I think it's corrosive to tell people to try to appeal to their fear of their fellow citizens in order to get elected. I don't think that's a good thing. So to answer your question, yeah, I don't actually ask people, hey, is this low-income housing? But there are there are apartment buildings nearby. Da-da-da. Have already earned decades in prison. I don't know what that means. You said it. Why are you saying this many times? Why are you typing the same thing over and over again? Take it a bit deeper, Jerry. Why do the super rich act like the regular population is below them? What kind of question is that? That's always been the way it is. The super rich as a group has always had like a tiered system from the beginning. Always has. Why? I'm not one of them. Never have been. I know some of them, and actually, I know some super rich people that are actually pretty cool. I think I might have gotten lucky and met like some classy super rich people. I wouldn't say super rich, but pretty damn rich. Uh, so I gotten lucky on that. But it's the nature of of class warfare. You know, it also happens on the other end. People who don't have much think they can also think that they're better than other people. People tend to think and try to think they're better than other people. I know I do. I know I have a tendency to do that. You know, it tends not to be based on money, but I'm a human being. You know, biases come up, and I try to check them, but I'm not going to act like they don't happen. Anybody that says those kind of things don't happen are not being truthful with themselves. Deeper yet, how did they become super? Well, see, how they become super rich and who helped, who promoted depends. It depends. Like for example, is their money old money? Do they have like cotton money, right? Do they have like slave money? Because some money is old money. A lot of money is inherited money, so they got it and then they were able to parlay it. Like Trump. Trump has like he didn't start from nothing and get rich. He was born rich. His father, on the other hand, made money. Seems to have made it in a very corrupt way, but there's no one straight path of how people got super rich, but mostly it's on the backs of working people. Mostly. Traditionally. Stringer, when were you in the? Oh, you were in the 94010. Where's the 940? It's like Vacaville. Where's that? No, that's further up. No, 94010. Is that like Foster City? Where's 94010? Stuart, I don't know what you're talking about. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I don't know what you're trying to ask, Bill. And given that it's you, it's probably based on some weird bigotry of yours, so I'll move on. Hookers and booze. All right. So, I don't know if there's much else. It's getting kind of late. It's been an hour and a half, and I haven't really had my dinner. It's been sitting over here getting cold because I didn't want to eat on the air. Yeah, just so you know, I have a bot that keeps people from doing all caps because it's really annoying. So, you got that, Stuart, little bot telling you to not do all caps. Yes, the postal codes. Yeah, I was talking about the neighborhood that I live near by its postal code, because it's a fairly. Someone asked if I had low income housing nearby, and I'm not. I don't really check on like the cost of the houses nearby. I know I have low income people nearby. I understand Trump's, but do you think that Biden will last 4 years as a fit purpose? Will last 4 years as a fit for purpose American president? I honestly don't know. Yeah, it's amazing how long people can go at a certain state. You're like, oh, let's see how, and then all of a sudden they're just like they're just stable and they just stay that way. If he stays the way he is right now, I don't see him not being able to last. But at the same time, I wouldn't have a problem with him doing a year or so and going, you know what? I see where things are going. Talk to Jill about it. We're going to step down. Just let Kamala kick in. She was my number 2 anyway, so I have no problem with that. But hey, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with him, not making it through the next 4 years. I mean, I don't wish that on anybody. But I think it's more important that Trump be gone. I've never, I, you know, yeah, I've never been in this position where I felt the need to think that way. Yeah. Let's see. Take it or starve. Croc Doc, I like your counter that. Do you think Trump has ever done a single year as a fit for purpose president? There was like a week at the very beginning of the coronavirus outbreak where he was like presidential. He's like a sprinter, like a young high school sprinter who's being asked to do long distance stuff. Like he can take off and he can be presidential for like 4 days and then he's done. And then he's going to go back. It's like the like with this convention. There was like 24 hours where he stayed on message. And then after that he went back to tweeting crazy stuff. He just doesn't have it. He doesn't have it in him. He's an amazingly undisciplined person. And there is no depth to him. There's no. It's all surface. He's all surface. It's amazing. Let us see. Is this not moving? Yeah, I think that's not moving. I'm gonna switch and see if I get a better. Yeah, I think that's not moving. Okay, so that stream's not really doing anything on here. It's probably been that way for a long time. So I'm just gonna go back to go to dead center since it's not. I think whenever the stream broke, I think the link to the feed broke. So sorry about that. Didn't notice because I wasn't really looking at the screen. Let's see. Yes, he seems to put in a good week every year or so. Let's see. Okay, folks. It is 9:33 my local time. I'm going to try to chill out and get to bed at a decent hour. I will be going live again tomorrow, I believe, and probably Sunday. I'm going to go live tomorrow. I'm going to talk about, and it's not a paid promotion, but I do want to talk about a new show that's coming out, Woke, on Hulu. It's on Hulu? It's on Hulu. Created by a good friend of mine, Keith Knight. I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to discuss that a little bit and do a little bit of promotion for a buddy of mine, just because I hope the show is successful. I haven't figured out what time I have family in town from Atlanta, so we're going to do a get-together sometime this weekend. So I'll have to figure out when we're getting together. Stroll, no, I'm against Trump. I'm against Trump, but I'm also, honestly, I'm not just against Trump. I think Biden brings something to the table that the country currently needs. And then I think he'll be a transition to the direction we need to be going. Oh, the Trump cultists don't drag me down all that much. Someone asked me earlier, like, how do I keep a positive outlook with and avoid all the flat earthers and stuff like that. The fact that, well, I talk to my wife and kid. That's one thing that keeps me positive. When I started to, the flat earthers and even the Trumpers and the QAnon type people, they stopped bugging me so much, and they don't get on me so much when I started seeing them as the broken people that they are. I honestly think that flat earthers are all broken to a certain degree. Something isn't working for them. And so they're looking for that thing to fill it. There's something missing that gives them a purpose, and so they look for something. Some people find it in religion, some people find it in flat earth, some people find it in QAnon, and some people are finding it in Trump. It gives them something, but I think it's because there's something missing, and that is kind of sad. And so it's hard to get angry at broken people. You know, it's hard to get angry at them. When people show like willing ignorance, it's frustrating. But I usually just reset to the fact that I think that they're broken, and they don't deserve my disdain so much. And so where I can, when I have the time, I'm much more interested in having conversations with them to try to help. Oftentimes we find people who aren't the slightest bit interested in help. They're just interested in the argument. Like Bill, who's on here. He's a person who's generally not interested in actually having a conversation. He'll feign a conversation for the purpose of trying to get to where he wants to go. So that's different. But a lot of people are just they're looking to fill that, and if I can fill that with some knowledge, I'll try. So it's one thing that keeps me from just getting angry and too broken by it. Though sometimes I am staggered by the level of ignorance and poor thinking that comes from some of them. Like if anybody's ever seen any exchange with Native Honey Insight, that's amazing. That's just like every time. Anyway, that was a cheery ending. All right, folks, I'm going to get going. I'll try to announce a live stream a couple hours beforehand, so give people a chance to get in the room. Hopefully, I might have to get another hub or something. Hopefully, we'll have a little more stable system, and we'll do this again. Thanks everybody for stopping by who are still in the room. We got Double Cross, we got Collective IQ, Croc Duck 2, Stuart. May not agree with you, but hey, thanks for stopping by. The Monkey, Spawny, and anyone else is in the room. Thank you very much for coming by. Much appreciated. There's going to be a minute or so of music to see you guys out, so you can wrap up your conversations before the stream ends. You like the triangular breathing? Excellent. Yes, triangular breathing is cool. We'll have to come up with some other topics, with some topic-specific live streams, like one where we talk about, I really enjoyed talking about self-defense type stuff, so maybe we'll do a little bit more of that. Maybe we'll do one that's just specifically about that type of thing. And we'll see. But new week's coming. Enjoy your weekend. I will try to be by here a couple times this weekend and say hey to you guys and let you guys know what's up. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I hope you have a good night. Stay safe and take care of each other. All right. Peace.